Welcome once again to Jazz Lockdown, the program that puts our regular panelists of Pete Long, Alan Barnes and Alex Garnett to the test. You are invited to donate as little as £1 towards each show, which will be equally divided between the contributors, with 50% of the total amount going to Macmillan Cancer Support, by following the PayPal link below. Chaired by Alyn Shipton, this episode's special guest is Julian Argüelles.
Well, welcome to the third edition of Jazz Lockdown in this second series. We've got our regular panellist and a very special guest with us today. We have Julian Argüelles, all the way from the other side of the English Channel and a bit further down.
That's right. Hi, everyone.
Where are you exactly, Julian?
I am just north of Lisbon.
Ah,
it's beautiful here. Yeah, it's
so just to introduce the other panellists, we have Alan Barnes.
Hello.
We have Alex Garnett.
Hello there.
And we have Pete Long.
Good afternoon.
And today, Pete, we're going to start with you. So with whom did Russell Procope tour the UK in 1976, making an album in Cornwall with Wild Bill Davis?
No idea.
Anybody else?
Was it, it wasn't Ray Crane's band, was it?
No, it's Chris Barber.
Oh, my God. Right.
And it was an album called Echoes of Ellington, recorded in St Ives. Well, let's see if we can do better on this one, Pete. Which former Ellingtonian saxophonist enjoyed some Soho nights in London the previous decade?
That would be Paul Gonsalves, wouldn't it?
Not who I'm thinking of. 2 albums called Soho Nights with a certain S. Tracy on piano. And you've got to think a bit further back in the band to the tenor chair in...
Ben Webster.
Yeah, Ben Webster. There you go. Right. Alan.
Oh.
Which American saxophonist was barnstorming in Britain in 2006, including visiting the Bull's Head?
That was, Harry Allen.
Yeah, right.
Harry Allen, yeah.
And which American brass player cobbled together a partnership in 2014 that was compared by critic Dave Gelly to Jeeves and Wooster?
Oh, yeah, that was when Warren Vacher lived at my house for about 5 weeks. And we did he wrote some, he wrote some tunes, which I messed about with and sort of arranged. And I became known as the turd polisher after that. So there you are.
And maybe it was a load of something that gave the album its title.
Maybe it was what? A load of cobblers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Cobbler's Waltz it was called, yeah.
Right. Alex, your turn now. Which singer's mini big band included Guy Barker, Jason Rebello, and James Gardner Bateman?
Oh, that's Miss Claire Teal. Or is she Dame Claire Teal now? I don't know.
Oh, probably. Can you remember anybody else who was in the band? No points for this, just...
Oh, in the mini big band, formerly was... that was Grant Windsor on the piano, I believe. Ben Reynolds, Simon Little on the bass.
Yep.
And Martin Shaw on the trumpet, I believe.
Yeah, that's just about the full list, I think. Right, I've got another one for you. So who shared the groove yard with you?
Oh, that's Mr. Gareth Locrane, of course.
Right, well done. So, Julian, with which pianist were you hugger-mugger that when it got a bit down to the nitty-gritty, there might be a bit too much yada-yada?
Kit Downs?
Yep. And can you explain why?
Well, yeah, we made a record together about 7 years ago with James Madron and Sam Lasseson.
Yeah, and the title is the first album in history, I think, named after prize-winning packaging. No points for this. It's called...
Oh, Tetra.
Yeah, the Tetra Pak. I've always thought of that album as. Right.
Oh, right.
Which American bassist took some time away from his usual musical partner to share some home truths with you?
Steve Swallow.
Yeah. Again, would you like to just tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, that was, I think, maybe my third CD, which was, back in the mid-90s, a quartet record with Mike Walker and Martin France. I swallowed to do it, and fortunately he said yes.
Yeah, great. It was just before he went off to do that Goes to Church album with Carla, where they're all trying to tug people into and out of church.
That's right. I'm on that one as well.
Right. Well, we're now going to go to a round. Thanks very much for that, Julian. Well done. We're going to move to an round called Old and New Stuff. And we're going to start with Alan. So, Alan, who had the unenviable job of sharing a front line with Charlie Parker and Chet Baker on the coast? Even the squirrels noticed.
Would this be Sonny Chris?
It was. Well done.
Yeah.
And the reason, of course, it's the squirrels noticed is the famous track from that is called The Squirrel.
The Squirrel, yeah.
Right. Now, which saxophonist was introduced to Charlie Parker backstage at the Paradise Theatre in Detroit at the age of 7? And Parker told him, start out on clarinet, young man, develop your embouchure before you take up the saxophone. This guy was asked to join the original Clifford Brown Max Roach quintet, but instead he went to prison for drug offences and formed a band in San Quentin with Art Pepper.
And he's a saxophonist?
Yep, alto saxophonist.
Oh, Christ. This has got me.
Oh, I can see the picture. There's a picture in his book of the three of them, isn't there?
Yeah.
Frank Rehak.
Yeah, I thought Phil
So
was in that picture, isn't he?
No, but there was a first name clue in what Pete just said.
Phil Urso.
No,
Is it Frank Strazzeri?
no, he was a pianist, but no, the alto player was Frank Morgan.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Right,
Sorry, I was thinking of Frank Strozier.
Okay.
right. Now there's a bonus question here. Who offered Frank Morgan the chance to play Charlie Parker in a Hollywood movie?
Clint Eastwood.
Oh, yeah. Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give that point to both of you, actually. Yeah, and it was...
Jump in on bonus points. Oh.
bonus points you can, yeah, but...
Oh!
Yeah. Well, you did last time, so it's the same.
Come on, Julian, come on.
Yeah.
So, what happened there was that he offered him the role in Bird, which was eventually played by Forrest Whitaker, but Frank decided he was no actor. So, Alex, yours now. Who was just friends with Tubby Hayes?
Oh, that was Paul Gonsalves.
Yeah, absolutely. And who shared a pint of bitter with Tubby?
Oh, that was Clark Terry. I think Clark wrote the tune, which is weird.
He did. And half a point each for anyone who gets the extra members of that American band with Tubby.
Walter Bishop Jr. Piano.
Eddie Costa.
Eddie Costa.
Let me think what else is on that. Is it Horace Parlan?
Yeah. It's Horace Parlan, not Walter Bishop. Well done. 2 more to go. Who's on drums? Think of Jazzmobile. Think of the Mulligan Quartet.
Chico Freeman.
The next one, it was Dave Bailey.
All right.
And the bassist was Mr. Everyone's bassist of the time, George Duvivier.
Oh,
Anyway, let's move on. So the bonus point on this round is which great tenor saxophonist who died in January this year was Clark Terry's special guest at the Village Gate?
Is it Duncan Lamont?
Nope.
Oh,
Village Gate. We're thinking New York here.
oh.
It could have been him or one of his brothers, but it was him.
Jimmy Heath.
Yep, absolutely. Well done, Pete. Right, Julian.
Yeah.
Which pianist, known for his work with Maria João, teamed up with some other colleagues for a Portuguese September?
Mario Legenia.
Yeah.
My good friend Mario. He's the reason I'm here in Portugal, actually. Because I worked so much with him. I came to Portugal so many times and fell in love with the place.
Brilliant. Well, I love that album, September, with Helga Norbakken as well as the other member of the trio.
Thank you.
Which Portuguese pianist died after falling off a cliff?
Bernardo Sassetti.
Yep. And in what talented company did he appear? This is the bonus question.
That probably... is it with... is that a reference to Guy Barker?
It is. So what's the full
Yeah.
story?
Yeah, there's a clip of them playing on the Talented Mr. Ripley, the film,
Yeah, well done.
with Pete King.
Right, Pete, your turn now. Who showed his peaceful side in Paris with a string quartet, a close harmony group, and the bassist Michel Gaudry?
Billy Strayhorn.
Yep, well done. And on Strayhorn's album Q for Saxophone, who was the saxophonist?
Johnny Hodges.
Yep. That's why I emphasised the Q, of course. Who shared a piano stool? This is a bonus question. Who shared a piano stool with Strayhorn in the drawing room?
Duke Ellington.
Yep. Like to explain?
It's a thing called Drawing Room Blues that's on the piano duet album from the early 50s. And if I remember right, that particular blues becomes the slow movement in the Newport some years later.
I think that's right. And on the other side of the album, the other side of the original 78 was Tonk.
Tonk, my favourite.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tonk.
Right. Now, Julian, we come to a round now where you are in competition with the other guests on the programme, as my earphone falls out.
all of them.
Yeah, so basically every guest has to try and score 10 out of 10 in questions that are germane to them. So it's
I
your
see.
personal round now.
Okay.
So your earliest recording under your name is named after a character from a Robert Pirsig novel. What was the album called?
Phaedrus.
Yep. Recorded just over 30 years ago, who was the pianist on that recording?
John Taylor.
Yep. Which album of yours features solely saxophone overdubs along with other horns?
Scapes. Or Inner Voices.
Inner Voices is the one we were after.
Yeah.
What's the oldest established jazz course in Europe?
Graz.
Yep. Which influential Kenny Wheeler album could be dedicated to a stoned herd of wildebeest?
New High.
Yep. A spelling on that one. So not their 10th year, Phronesis gave you 10 original compositions to arrange for which big band?
For the Hessische Rundfunk in Frankfurt.
Formerly member of your octet, who won the Parliamentary Jazz Award for Education last year? I'll give you a clue. It's a sort of Churchillian answer.
Nick Yars?
Yep. Well done.
Okay.
You won that award, the Parliamentary Award for Best CD release in 2016, but can you remember who won Best Jazz Instrumentalist the year that you were given your gong?
Ooh, instrumentalist. Well, what did they play?
Piano.
Piano. No, I can't.
That was Alexander Hawkins,
Ah,
who shared the front line with you last year for A Month in Tunisia.
John Turville?
Well, we were thinking of the John Turville Quintet, so I'm going to give you half a
Yeah.
point for that. So it's Robbie Robson.
Oh, Robbie Robson. Right. I see.
Right, and you've come out of that round with 8.5,
Ah,
which puts you in second place, I think, amongst the contestants amongst our guests.
thank you.
Yeah, well done. Right, now we come to the round called Just a Lockdown. So this is like Just a Minute, and basically you have to talk without hesitation, deviation or repetition, and you can be interrupted by other members of the panel with their noises. Can we just hear your noises, everyone? So, Julian. Alex is the bell. Pete is the hooter. What have you got this week, Alan? Sorry, I missed it.
Oh, it's a soprano mouthpiece.
Oh, careful.
It's a family show, mate. Soprano
And if
mouth.
you don't behave, it's coming out.
And the mouthpiece.
Well, Alex, on which note, Alex, I think you better start. So could you talk for a minute on the subject of my first musical instrument, starting now?
Is this me, is it?
Yeah, that's you. I'll start you again.
It's going well.
Yeah.
Starting now on my first musical instrument. Alex.
The first instrument I was to take up was the piano. My mother was a piano teacher, originally played piano for kids in her school.
Repetition of piano.
Yep. Pete.
Piano teacher? No.
Piano. Boy.
Hyphenated terms don't count. It was two
It's a
pianos.
Oh,
I'm being educated here.
Dog
Hey.
eat dog.
Pete, off we go. My first musical instrument starting now.
My first musical instrument was a recorder, which I took great delight in because I realised early on that as well as being able to be played with the mouth, it could be operated with the nose for amusing comedy effect. And my nasal-powered version of Peas Pudding Hot was the delight. Yes?
Alan, you challenged.
Slight nasal delay there.
Yes, I think there was a nasal hesitation.
Nasal hesitation.
I thought that was a good recovery, Pete.
He's all right.
Excellent recovery, but not quite excellent enough. So, Alan, would you like to talk about my first musical instrument starting now?
My first musical instrument was the guitar, and I got a book called Finger-Picking Styles of the Mississippi, which included people like John Hurt and lots of other players whose names temporarily escape me, but will come back after the programme's over. I found the guitar quite hard. Well, go on then. Competition of guitar.
Peace, you had a challenge. Yeah, that was a rather noticeable there.
Yeah.
Right. On we go, Pete. My first musical instrument again.
The recorder, however, being an unchromatic instrument,
He's been going on about recorders all morning.
it's my first musical instrument. It's the topic. Damn it.
Was a repetition of recorder.
There it is, true. Yeah.
Right, off we go again then. Alan.
Most musicians enjoy playing the instrument they can't play well. I've often noticed saxophonists picking up drumsticks.
Well done. Talking when the dinosaur squeaked. So, we're going to move on now. Alan, you're next actually, and this is a subject dear to your heart, perhaps. Can you talk for a minute on bands without drummers? So, starting now.
Tony Coe once said to me, "What are drummers for? We know where we are." Now, I don't entirely hold with that opinion, but bands do work without percussive players going on in the background. All you have to do is keep the time in your head and try and keep the...
Repetition of keep.
Yes.
Yeah, well done, Pete. On we go. Pete.
A very famous incident of a band recording without a drummer is a track by Benny Goodman entitled The Earl, recorded in 1942 and arranged by Mel Powell for his orchestra. The drummer contracted to that was Big Sid Catlett, who was unable to gain entrance to the recording studio for reasons unknown, possibly racism, possibly lateness. It is lost in the mists of time. The side was recorded without drums and proves that if you have a good band with all the musicians making the time, that the band will swing as hard as it would do anyway without...
Alan, you challenged.
Repetition of band.
Oh, thank you so much.
I would have gone for the repetition of possibly about 8 minutes ago.
Wow.
Anyway,
Oh,
still,
it's getting vicious.
on we go. Alan, you've got 6 seconds starting now.
Oh,
Bands without drummers. Off you go.
For a while, I ran a band without a drummer with... there was a drummer.
Right. Would you like to pick it up then? Go on.
Alex or me?
Alex, I think.
Alex, yeah.
Yep. So, Alex, pick it up starting now.
One of my favourite records, which is incredible, quite remarkable, recorded by Stan Getz.
You got there.
I'm a goal hanger.
Right. Just get the stopwatch reset. Julian, yours is... I'm going to ask you if you would talk for a minute on the subject of doubling.
Okay.
So, are we ready?
We're ready.
Starting for 1 minute, Julian, the subject of doubling starting now.
Okay, doubling refers to, well, usually with saxophone players, it refers to us playing woodwind instruments and other miscellaneous things.
Alan blew his mouthpiece there.
No, I did, but
with mine
out, it was Pete.
No, I didn't blow anything. I think Alex
Alex
picked.
Repetition of refers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well done. Hope you win it back here, Julian. But on you go, Alex, the subject of doubling starting now.
Most saxophone players I know like to play the saxophone exclusively. Unfortunately, they have a situation where they have to play other instruments in order to maintain their work. Instruments such as the flute.
So, Pete,
Instrument.
Oh, was that the flute?
yes, and having overlooked the repetition of saxophones.
I got away with it. I got away with it.
Yeah.
Right. Pete, your turn now. So off we go. You've got 37 seconds on doubling.
Many instruments are required to be played by the professional jobbing saxophone player if a career in the theatre, for example... Yeah, you got it.
I think Alan's...
I think Alan was that was
Yeah.
from your mouthpiece, was it?
I think he was too excited to squeak, but it was there. Right.
You never sounded better, Alan.
Right.
You're probably right. That's the tragic part.
So, Alan, a subject dear to your heart, doubling, starting now.
Many years ago, Duncan Lamont said on a session, I find arrangers...
He actually did say that, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good impression.
Pete, time for you to continue on the subject of doubling, starting now.
Many different hooters can be called upon to be played. The whole flute family, the piccolo, the C flute, the B flat flute d'amour. Not a repetition, it's flute d'amour. It's one word.
I think the ding went from Alex before anybody else there. So, Alex, you have 9 seconds on doubling, starting now.
There are many different kinds of instruments that one can play, aside from the one that we like.
Now,
I can see you all poised like panthers.
did I hear the saucepan go off
It's
first?
a saucepan where- yeah.
You did.
Right, Julian, carry on. You've got A, a successful challenge, and C, if you can talk for 1 second on the subject of doubling, starting now.
Clarinet.
Well done.
Oh,
That's
so
one of the
far.
best scores on this round that there's been.
God,
Right.
that's a tough game.
I got so excited then that I almost lost the questions. Right, Pete, it is your turn now for your, see if you can talk for just a lockdown on the subject of what use are arrangers. So, well, that was an interesting stare. Right, here we go. What use are arrangers, starting now?
The historical precedent for an arranger in jazz comes from the fact that early jazz bands playing for dancers needed to get louder and therefore got larger. So if you have 6 musicians busking along together playing Dixieland style jazz, it'll sound okay. If you need to make it loud, I said louder twice, bollocks.
You don't get a point for interrupting yourself.
Don't I? It's a correct challenge under the rules.
Yeah. Right. Alex, I think you just got there first on that one.
It
No?
was Alan on that one.
It was Alan, right.
It was
Okay.
Al, yeah.
Okay, I'm having trouble telling the difference between the soprano saxophone mouthpiece and a bell. This is very worrying.
Me too.
Right. Alan, if you'd like to talk on the subject of what use are arrangers, starting now.
Arrangers stop that terrible situation arising, which we've all experienced on jam sessions, where you know the chords and you think, I'll start nicely here on the 3rd, but somebody else joins you on it. So you shift quickly to the 7th and they go at exactly the same time, at which point you've moved back to your original note and they join you again, and then you both laugh and have a mouthful of beer. Arrangers stop that happening by giving you predetermined notes, which they know are going to harmonize with each other and get you through any situation, and you just hope to God that you can read the parts, because sometimes they have such a lot of faith in your abilities to double, to sight read.
Well done.
Very well done. That's,
Run.
I think that's about the longest continuous segment. That was 30-something seconds, 37 seconds, I think. Very good.
That's brilliant.
And really, yeah, good fun. So at the moment, we've got some very parallel sort of scores. So let's see how we do on the final round, which is the quickfire round. So starting now, this is for all of you. Which South African drummer did Cecil Taylor record a live album with in 1988?
Louis Maholo?
Yep.
Oh, are we ringing or jumping in?
You could just jump in on this one. You don't need to
Right.
ding or dong. Just jump in.
Saucepan though.
The Anvil
Right.
chorus.
It was
I'm
very...
playing the drums. I'm just
Right.
playing the drums.
Right. Louis Maholo played at Cafe Oto last year with his own quintet. What was the name of that band?
Viva la Black?
No. It was Five Blokes. Who wrote the words and music to the musical Five Guys Named Mo?
Louis Jordan.
Yep. Who was Duke Jordan's wife of 10 years who befriended Charlie Parker after writing
Sheila
lyrics? Sorry?
Sheila Jordan.
Yep. Now 91 years of age, her debut album was in 1963 on Blue Note. Who was a bassist there whose own album for ECM she guested on in 1980?
Gary Peacock?
No.
Charlie Hayden?
No. Julian ought to get this one. Sorry, Alan?
Steve Swallow. Steve Swallow.
Steve Swallow. I think Alan just got there first, actually. Right. Many of Swallow's compositions appeared in which book collated by students at Berkeley?
The real book.
The real book.
Yeah, Alan was there first.
He was.
The real McCoy, apart from Mr. Tyner himself, has Elvin Jones on drums, Ron Carter on bass, and which tenor player?
Jack Henderson.
Yes, Alex was there first on that one. Tyner had just departed company with John Coltrane when he made that album. Who replaced him in the Coltrane Quartet?
Alice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Alice. John and Alice had 3 children together. Which one became a tenor player?
Ravi.
Ooh, I think Alan got there just marginally ahead there. With which progressive drummer on ECM did Ravi record In Movement in 2016?
Rashid Ali.
Actually, no.
Oh, bloody hell. He's my only progressive drummer.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily... I think he was very progressive in the 60s, but he's still around, works a lot with John Sermon.
Oh, Jack DeJohnette.
Yeah. Jack DeJohnette moved from Chicago to New York in 1966 to join whose quartet for the next 2 years?
Keith
Charles
Jarrett.
Lloyd.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Charles Lloyd. Well done, Julian. Why did Jack say he left that band?
Because of Charles Lloyd.
Yeah, but what particular aspect of Charles Lloyd?
Money?
No. Charles playing flat, apparently.
Oh. Wow.
Talking of flat, does anybody know the current flat rate for a musician to accept a gig? Not that anyone can at the moment, according to today's MU guidelines.
Oh.
£67.80.
£2.40.
It's a little bit up from both of those.
Is it £75?
It's actually £128 per musician plus £10.50 per hour for travelling and 51p per mile.
When do I
Jesus.
start? When do I start?
No one told me.
Whose union was that?
I believe it's something called the MU.
Magicians Union.
Yeah.
Yeah, them.
Yes, that reminds me of a Bill Greeno story. So we were doing this gig in Kent, and Bill came through the door with his tenor case and a white suit, and all the rest of us having our sandwiches in the dressing room. They said, "Oh, over here, mate," and they gave him a lovely table with the full dinner. Anyway, he didn't think anything of it, came up on stage with us, and about 5 minutes later, the door burst open. A bloke in evening dress with a cage with a parrot inside it and various other things came through. He was the magician, and he started, "Where's my dinner?" Which had all gone into Mr. Greeno. Anyway.
I was on a gig once where there was a juggler, and we went into the band room. There's all these French sticks and goudas and things, and we ate the lot. And it turned out we juggled food. That was it.
The props.
Brilliant. Right. Well, coming back to the last round of the quiz, in 1935, the MU came to an arrangement to stop American jazz musicians playing in the UK. Once the ban was lifted in the early 60s, which British band was exchanged for Zoot Sims to play in New York?
Tubby Hayes.
Tubby Hayes.
Yeah, well done. Well remembered from the first one, Alex.
Thank you.
In which year did Lee Konitz record Live at the Half Note?
In the 60s.
67.
961.
66.
65.
9.
59.
59, Alan was right.
Hey!
In 1966, Konitz recorded an album of duets on the Milestone label. One of those tracks was with which violinist and trumpeter?
Don Cherry.
No.
Oh.
Violinist?
Right,
Yes, it was Ray Nance.
Wow.
That's the other one.
I always take you literally there, Pete. You do say the answer, but you always say it's not Ray Nance. But I'm going to overlook the it's not, because it was.
I was using the use of the Maltese not. It's an affirmative.
Any Maltese, please?
In 1974, Nance toured and recorded in England with which British band?
I think that was Chris Barber again.
You were right. Which album did Bill Barber pioneer in modern jazz, recording on Birth of the Cool, Sketches of Spain and Miles Ahead?
Tuba. Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
Which loose tuba plays tuba?
Dave Powell.
Jay Powell.
Yeah, you were there first, Alan. Ray Draper recorded Tuba Sounds to Prestige in 1957, just before the famous recording with John Coltrane. What age was he when he made that album?
19.
21.
Alan, what did you say?
16.
You were right.
Wow.
Draper's pianist was Mal Waldron on his first album. What was Mal's first album on ECM titled following his move to Europe in the mid-60s? And it was the first album on ECM ever.
Was it Swinging Party Hits?
Sadly,
Yes.
sadly not.
Mal à tête.
No, it was called Free at Last.
No.
On one of his trips back to the United States, who did Mal tour with, who normally played in the Thelonious Monk Quartet?
Johnny Griffin?
Charlie Rouse. Pete was right there.
Ah.
Which celestial rocks are named after both Charlie Rouse and Thelonious Monk, as well as Miles Davis and Louis Armstrong?
Celestial rocks.
Stars.
Not stars.
Planets.
Planets.
Bit smaller than that.
Asteroids.
Oh,
Asteroids.
asteroids. Pete got there first.
I've suffered from those for years.
Well, who recorded an album called, a track called Tapestry from an Asteroid on the album We Travel the Spaceways in 1966?
Sun Ra.
Sun Ra.
Yeah. I think I was just there first on that one. What was his real name?
It wasn't Bill Evans, was it?
No.
No.
No. Yeah, it was one of those names that you know.
It was Herman Blunt. Claiming he was an...
Changed his name to avoid the dictionary of rhyming slang.
Claiming he was an alien from the age of 20, he worked alongside hundreds of musicians in his bands. Which drummer spent 16 years in the orchestra before moving to the UK in the 80s and becoming senior drum tutor at Pyramid Arts Development in Dalston for 10 years?
What's his name?
Jarvis.
Clifford Jarvis.
I think that's half a point each for Alan and Alex, because Alan got the Jarvis and you got the Clifford. Right. Jarvis also toured and recorded with Archie Shepp for 5 years. With which other drummer did Shepp record a duet album in 1969 following a European tour?
Elvin Jones?
Right surname?
Oh, my God.
Billy Joe Jones.
Yep. Well done, Julian.
Damn.
Right. Well, now we have the reckoning of the scores.
Oh,
Oh dear.
So, Julian, very well done on your 8.5 on the personal round. You've actually slightly beaten Alex on... so, Alex today has 10.5 and you have 14. Pete is in second place. No, actually, you're in joint second place with Pete, Julian. You've both got 14. And Alan is this week's winner with 21.5.
yeah.
Well,
Well done, Alex.
Well
Well done, Julian. Well done, Pete. And thank you all very much. Thanks, everybody, for watching and for downloading and subscribing. All your subscriptions do go to help Macmillan Cancer support, which is very important. And a small amount also goes to support us and keep us in chocolate. Anyway, thanks very much to Julian for joining us all the way from Portugal.
Yeah, Julian.
Yeah, good to see you. And thanks to our regular panelists, Alan,
Thank you.
Alex,
Good day.
and not wearing his captain's hat, Pete Long. Thank you very much. I'm Alyn Shipton, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
That was Jazz Lockdown, a series of programs devised by Clark Tracy and presented by Alyn Shipton, with Pete Long, Alan Barnes, and Alex Garnett, with special guest Julian Argüelles. You are invited to donate as little as £1 towards each show, which will be equally divided between the contributors, with 50% of the total amount go to Macmillan Cancer Support, by following the PayPal link below. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to your company next time.